over the course of my life, I have learned to expect the unexpected. I think it all started back in 1999. I was 6 years old, and I had just selected the New England Patriots to be my favorite NFL team. At the time, the Pats were one of the worst teams in the league. I only picked them because my elementary school mascot, we were the Patriots. How was I to know that the very next year in the draft we would select a guy in the 6th round who would lead us to the greatest dynasty in NFL history? I guess I'm saying I'm a hard guy to shock, right? I watch horror movies for fun, but I am completely floored by the news I am about to give you. So welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and today we're doing something a little bit different. I've got plenty of scary movies, novels to review, all that regularly scheduled programming will resume shortly, but today I've got some very happy movie news I'd like to discuss, which is, first of all, that the planned trilogy of Exorcist films, beginning with The Exorcist Believer, which came out last year, has been totally scrapped. And secondly, Blumhouse has just announced that the Exorcist IP will be picked up by none other than Mike Flanagan, who promises to give the franchise a radical new take. Now, anyone who's watched all of my videos, I assume there's someone out there, hi mom, you'll know that I think this is great news for multiple reasons. First, and perhaps foremost, being that The Exorcist Believer was nothing short of a cinematic tragedy. Like, if the horror genre was the Kennedy family, The Exorcist Believer was Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't need to belabor that point too much here. Suffice it to say that it is utterly soulless, utterly senseless in that it doesn't make any fucking sense. And if you want to see me rant about it for 10 minutes, I have done so already in a video I will link in the description below. But this isn't just like me talking, right? I mean, obviously, even if it was, you'd still want to listen to it because my takes on the horror genre are of immensely high quality. Many people are saying this. And many people are also saying that The Exorcist Believer is one of the worst horror films in recent memory. So good riddance to David Gordon Green, a man who considers his day wasted if he hasn't spoiled and bastardized yet another classic horror movie franchise. And hello to the other reason this is such great news, Mike Flanagan. His opinion might be a little more controversial than the last one, but I actually consider Flanagan to be the best horror director working today, right? If this is a boxing league, he's got the belt. And I know some people, oh, but what about Ari Aster, right? And listen, Ari Aster is great. He's great. But he hasn't made a horror movie in like 5 years, and he's only made 2 total. So Mike Flanagan, on the other hand, is fairly prolific. He's made, I believe, 7 horror films. Don't quote me on that. But he's also made several really excellent horror miniseries for Netflix, including The Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, and his most recent adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. For my thoughts on the House of Usher adaptation, once again, I have made a video on that. I will link it in the description below. Spoiler alert, I liked it a lot. I am a huge fan of Flanagan's work. I view The Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass as 2 of the best horror television productions of all time, and I am just wildly impressed with what he did with his adaptation of Stephen King's novel Dr. Sleep. And one of my favorite things about Dr. Sleep is really relevant here, because this is a classic work of kind of horror intellectual property, right? This is the sequel to Stephen King's The Shining, which, you know, King famously hated Stanley Kubrick's film adaptation of The Shining starring Jack Nicholson, but of course many people don't share that opinion, right? I don't share that opinion. Kubrick's Shining film is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. So what's Mike Flanagan to do? He did justice to King's novel, he made a worthy sequel to Kubrick's film, and he managed to tie it all together with a neat little bow by giving Dr. Sleep, the movie, the ending that King's original Shining novel had. How cool is that? To me, this says a lot about how Flanagan approaches his work, right? He takes on projects that he's really passionate about, and he respects his source material when it exists deeply. And based on what I've seen from him so far, I have a really hard time believing that Flanagan would have taken on this project if he didn't have some really fun and fresh and exciting ideas about where to take this franchise. He's on record as saying that the original Exorcist film is one of the reasons he became a filmmaker in the first place, so I think he's going to be feeling an appropriate amount of pressure to get this done the right way, especially in light of how just god-awful last year's movie was. So yeah, when I woke up yesterday morning, I didn't necessarily expect to end my day saying, damn, I am pumped for the new Exorcist movie, but you know what? Expect the unexpected. Hell yeah. Tom Brady. And just briefly, in other news, I'm back. Sorry for the couple months of hiatus there, but I will be regularly posting videos again starting now. You can expect content at least weekly on all the horror books and movies I have been consuming, so please go ahead and subscribe to this channel if that tickles you, you know, where you like to be tickled. So stay tuned for all of that, but in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.